everyone, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel. This is your girl Jaden. If you're new here, you are highly welcome. Guys, on today's video we're going to look at self-love. What does it mean to love ourselves? We hear this all the time, don't we? Myself, I've occasionally used this word self-love interchangeably with self-validation. So we hear all these words all the time. Love yourself, validate yourself, appreciate who you are. Why is it important that we do? If you love yourself, you're going to be in alignment with yourself. You're going to be in tandem with who you are. It's almost like that proverbial good soil. Every other thing will flourish when there is a good foundation. And that good foundation is as a result of your alignment with yourself, your understanding of yourself, your appreciation of yourself, and your acceptance of that person that is you. On the other hand, if you choose not to love yourself, if you choose not to be in alliance with yourself, you will work against your core being. You will not present yourself in a better picture for the world around you. And by extension, other people will relate to you as a direct consequence of the way you relate with yourself. Now, we have to love ourselves because that's who we are created to be. You see that your DNA, that's your chromosomes. When you die, when we die, if our bodies are dug up so many years later, there are things that will remain particular to us. Those things that cannot change about us, no matter what we do. Those are the things that make up our core being. So when you're a black man or a black woman, you didn't choose to become that. The same way you haven't chosen to become European. The same way you haven't chosen to become tall or short, or to be in whatever particular form. Granted, there are things you can change about yourself, but I'm talking about those things that make us who we are to the core of our being. We don't get to choose them. So what choices do you have? Not a lot of them. So it's important that we embrace that person who we are gifted with as ourselves. So you cannot run away from who you are. When you run away from that person you are, or you try to depart fundamentally from that person you are, you create problem for yourself. So because of that understanding, because of that realization, we have to embrace ourselves and begin to get to that stage where we have to love that person. You choose who you love. You choose the friendships you keep. We choose the people we relate with. But just like we did not choose the family we were born into, there is no way we will choose the self we receive from birth. So our best bet is to begin to cultivate that love and relationship with ourselves. Now, the second reason why it is really, really imperative that we love ourselves and develop that relationship with ourselves is because our view of ourselves form our view of the world, and by extension, the way we relate with the outside world. It's almost like the way we see ourselves, who we accept ourselves to be, determines the mirror. It's like a filter with which we view the world, other people, and how we relate with them. So if you're someone who likes to feel victimized, if you consider yourself a victim, if you think you're oppressed all the time, if you consider yourself inferior for whatever reason, be it race, color, ethnicity, your height, your exterior, your aesthetics, your appearance, and for whatever reason you consider yourself superior or inferior in this case, to another person, that becomes your paradigm. That becomes your baseline, the way you filter yourself. So you walk around feeling depressed. You walk around feeling not good enough. Can you see how that impacts on who you are as a person? And by extension, your worldview. If you think you're a victim, everything around you will be perceived from the eye of a victim. You will always think the world is against you, even when you stand a good chance of making your life better. You are unable to, and that is because you already have a negative paradigm. Your attitude towards life is that of a victim. The same way, if you consider yourself as ugly, it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter what you put on. Even makeup cannot suddenly transform you. If you like, do all manner of interventions in terms of surgical intervention on yourself. If you don't address the basis, if you don't tell yourself that you are beautiful and change your belief system around those things, you will always feel ugly. And because you feel ugly, when people talk about self-love, it will sound abstract to you. It will sound unattainable because you don't believe you're beautiful. Why would you love yourself? And when you go out there to relate with people, you relate with them as someone who is less than they are. And guess what? People always get the vibe, the things you send across, the signal, the energy. You can tell someone who is not very happy with themselves. It doesn't matter how you try to cover it. So, I promise not to spend too much time on this conversation for today. The reason is because there's so much to unpack. So I want to stop here for today. I want us to marinate on these two major reasons why we should think seriously about self-love. So there are quick disclaimers I want to make before I actually round off. The first thing is that there are some things that would ultimately not be perfect about us. Again, the life we live in, there has to be a balance. So you can't have it all. There would always be someone who is more beautiful than you are. There would always be someone who is more endowed, be it resources, be it aesthetically. Some people are born into royal families. They didn't choose to, but they suddenly saw themselves there. So we would always have things we wish we can change about ourselves, but that's okay. It shouldn't stop you from appreciating who you are. The next thing is that accepting and loving yourself is not a safety blanket for you to become complacent. It's not an excuse for you to stop developing or growing. We accept the things we can't change about ourselves, but we have to continuously, religiously, as a matter of lifestyle, work on those things we can change and make those changes happen. Another thing that I have highlighted here on my note is that until you love yourself, you can't genuinely love another person. It's gonna collapse like a pack of cards. It's only a matter of time. When people go into relationships with others without loving who they are, they create problems not just for themselves, but for those people. Because you can tell over time that it's superficial. To the core, at the core of that relationship, there's a big hole. Because you haven't developed that love and relationship. You don't have that healthy relationship with yourself. You can't give what you don't have. However, you try to cover it. So you have to know who you are. Know what makes you happy. When are you at your best? It's almost like self-awareness. We're going to get into that in the future. But staying on this topic for today, you only give what you have. You only love another person better when you love yourself. And finally, nothing else will work. Remember, that was why I went to the basics. Because you need to understand the importance of having a self-love and developing that mindset of someone who values and loves themselves. Until you do that, you will not just struggle at relationships, you will struggle at work. You will be stagnated, you'll find it difficult to grow. Because these things are fundamental to your living a healthy life. So I will return with another video on this topic where we will look at how to build on and develop self-love. What are those things you can continuously do to make yourself more attractive to yourself this time? Remember, we are stuck with this person that we are, with this body, soul, spirit, the emotions, the DNAs, we are stuck with them. We can't change them. So my next video will address those things we can do to make this human, this person, this self that we are, more attractive to us and by extension to others. I thank you so much for watching. I hope once again you have taken something out of today's video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Until then, take care. Bye.